And welcome back to Grassroots to Grand Prix. Today, we're really lucky to be joined by Ethan Sparks, who, of course, was the 2025 British Talent Cup champion. Ethan, welcome to the channel. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you, and how has the off-season been for you after a really busy season for you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. And the off season's going well. It's I'm already back out to Spain training on an NSF, which I'm racing next year alongside the Redbull rookie bike. So yeah, it's going well. We've had some good weather and some really good training days on small tracks and big tracks. So at the moment, it's going really good.
Fab. Have you also had some time to have a breather though? Because especially towards the end of last year, balancing BTC and then that final round of European Talent Cup 2, have you had some time to just decompress?
Yeah, obviously we've had the Christmas holidays and stuff where I've had time off school. So yeah, I've spent time with my family recently. And yeah, we had a decent break after the season. Just to sort of we had the award ceremony for the BTC after that was good. And after that I sort of focused on the ETC and after that that was just resting time really and then focus on winter training.
Great. As I said, you were our champion for this year in your rookie season, which no other rider has done, and you are still so early on in your career. So you're probably one of the best people to speak to about getting into racing and getting to that higher level. And then obviously you're progressing on next year to two different championships. We'll start off at the very beginning though, because you started off in things like Fab and Mini GP. How did you actually make that step into racing or riding as a little hobby and then getting into, oh, actually, this is something I want to do as a career? How did you make that step into Fab?
Well, it started when we saw Fab on TV, and I was already riding on a little mini moto before that. So we decided, well, we might as well try it out and see how it goes. So I started off at the bottom rank at Fab Racing on a rookie bike, and actually on my first round, I think I was sixth or something, and I was only small, and I was about I think 5 years old. So yeah, that was a really good first year. We thought. Of racing, even though I've pretty much never ridden a bike before. And then after that, I started to get better and better. Got I won the championship in the pros, so we decided to move up then to the 50s where I won that, and we also moved up to the 70s as well where I won that twice. So we just climbed up the ranks really in Fab, and then that definitely made me a really good rider. As definitely helped me to get where I am today. And then after that, we moved on to the mini GP on a 160 because obviously they have the option of the World Finals, which is a really competitive stage at the time. So we decided we wanted to qualify for that, and I managed to get there in both the 190s and the 160s. So yeah, that was 2 good years. It was definitely a good idea going to the mini GP. It made me a really good rider, and just the atmosphere there you're with people from all around the world. So that was a really good decision of ours to do the mini GP.
Well, you actually were the youngest ever winner of the Mini GP 50 class when you were just 9. And then looking at your career to where you are now, you've literally won things every single year. Being so young, but having that success, how does that kind of toy with your mindset? It must give you some sort of confidence boost and some kind of positive mindset going into different rounds, especially heading into new championships. Like you've just won the title in your first go at Talent Cup, which, as I say, no one else has done before. So, what does that kind of do for you as a budding rider in terms of confidence and mentality?
Yeah, and definitely winning the BTC definitely gave me a lot of confidence. It also took a bit of pressure off me, definitely because I could focus now primarily on Spain because we had all the rounds pretty much of the BTC finished, and then the last two rounds of the ETC after that. So yeah, it gives me a lot of confidence, but then getting so used to winning, you also can, when you don't do so well, it also can all affect your mindset in a bad way. But I know that sometimes, like, obviously winning the BTC was a big high, and then I went to Valencia of the ETC, and I didn't do as well as I hoped, but I still accepted that, and I know I've got next year because obviously the ETC is a really competitive championship and you have to qualify out of 60 riders. So it's definitely qualifying is a big thing. So I was happy to qualify, but some sometimes you just got to accept the results, even though you have to realize that where I was for my first year there and not doing many rounds was still really good. So yeah, I definitely get a lot of confidence in the BTC, but sometimes on the ETC I do lose a bit. But I just got to accept that.
Talking about that difference in maybe standard then of races, there's a massive pool of people obviously in ETC, but going back a little bit further, making that transition from mini GP to Talent Cup, what was that like and how did you navigate that transition? Because obviously it's different bikes, different kind of paddock, different teams, a lot of new things for you to adjust to. How did you kind of manage that in your, especially in your first few rounds?
Well, before I got to the Talent Cup, I did race on 17-inch wheel bikes. So I did the Moto 4 in ESBK, which was a really good decision. It was probably the best place I could ride on a 17-inch wheel bike and get on Grand Prix big tracks. And yeah, that was really competitive at the time. I think I got two podiums in a whim, and it was just me and my dad running the bike. So it was that was a really good achievement. And then I also moved up to the faster class in the ESBK, which is now changed to the ESBK Talent Cup. But it was on a pre-moto 3, and again, just me and my dad. I didn't do as well that year, but I still towards the last two rounds, I was up the front in the front group. So yeah, that was another good class to race in, especially get me used to the faster 250 bikes. So that sort of helped me with the change a little bit. But other than that, just big tracks, it is you got to learn everything else you've already got from the little tracks. So yeah, it was good. The change wasn't too difficult for me.
So you did a few races in the ESBK then. How did you get the opportunity? Did people scout you out from your success in mini GP, or did you have to approach teams and convince them to let you do a round or two?
No, I did the Moto 4 alongside the Mini GP 160, so that I did them in the same year. But no, it was just I wasn't in a proper team. It was like just a bike. We had a mechanic and a suspension person, and then my dad as well. So other than that, because obviously the teams asked for a lot of money, and we didn't want to waste too much at the time on a class that we probably wasn't going to fight for the championship in. So no, it was a decision of our own really, and we just decided to do it on our own, which was definitely a great good decision. Even though I didn't have a good bike, it also made me a better rider because I raced up the front with people on probably better bikes, but I was still pushing to my limits to keep up with them. So no, we decided to do that one on our own.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. But you went from having that kind of smaller team then to in Talent Cup being with Team Kavara with, different teammates of quite a high standard as well, very talented riders in your team. How did your partnership with them come about then? Was it the same thing as you approached them, or did they scout you out?
No, we actually got scouted by Ryan himself. And yeah, it was definitely a good decision to go with Ryan. Obviously, I got the championship win, but also I wouldn't have done it without them. The bike that I was on, it was set up perfectly. Everything that Ryan knew, his knowledge about the tracks, and my mechanic as well, just helped me a lot to learn them quick, so I could be up to pace pretty much from FB1. So yeah, that was a thing that Ryan scouted me for, but it was such a good team. It definitely really helped me to get the championship win.
Did having those teammates who had experience already in Talent Cup help you in any way? Was a lot of data or knowledge of setups and things, was that shared between the team, or was it very much, yeah, you're in a big team, but it's rider per rider?
Well, sometimes they were shared. We had videos of other riders on the track, and our data was shared. So our lap times, where we're braking, stuff like that was shared. Um, So yeah, it's pretty much a team. Like the team helps each other out. So as like in some practices, it was the five RS racing bikes within the top five. So yeah, we definitely shared a lot of data, which helped a lot, especially for me learning the tracks and Jack as well. We were new to the track, so that really helped watching the videos as well. So yeah, a lot of it was shared.
Oh, good. It's really easy, I think, to while racing you're on your own. It's not you're not on a tandem bike with other riders. It is just you out there, but it is a big team sport. Obviously, you like you said did get help learning those tracks in, which is really crucial to your success. With Philip Sroviat, we've got to talk a little bit about your competitiveness with each other. With him winning four of the first six races, I think he won. How confident were you in your ability and your talents that you would be able to close back? The points that you may have missed out on in the first few rounds when you were still finding your feet in the championship.
I didn't have a great start. It was still a good start. I got a couple of podiums and I was right with Philip. It was just, I think it got to halfway through the season where I sort of adapted to the bike and was confident with the championship, and that's where I started to make the points up from Brands Hatch, where I started to push harder. I won I got the double at Brands, and in one of the races I pulled a 5 second lead, which is difficult on the small bikes, especially with all the slipstream. So that definitely boosted my confidence. And although I knew Philip, he had the experience, I still at some of the tracks like Donington, Assen, they were a lot what I was used to. So I also did really well there. So yeah, it was definitely difficult at the start, but once I sort of got I gelled with the bike and everything, I started to go well. So yeah, it was fine for me.
Yeah, Brands is a really interesting you said that because it definitely felt from a spectator point of view that's where your season kind of turned for the better, and then you went into that final round at Alton leading the standings and ultimately won it. So congratulations again for that. Let's talk a little bit about next year then because it's not a new series in the European Talent Cup, but you're doing Redbull Rookies too, and you're riding for Mlav. So how did that come about? Because you were a member of the Mlav Mini Bike Academy, so did you always expect to go back to them and team up with them later down the line in your career?
Well, we didn't expect it really that much. Well, we sort of did. Um, but winning the BTC, I automatically got the Rebel Rookie right because that's the prize. That's why we mainly did the BTC because we don't have the money to fund my route to Moto 3. So the only option was me to go through the BTC. So we knew if I did win it, I would somewhat get I knew we would get the Red Bull Rookie ride, but also get some sort of funding for the ETC because I'm not old enough at the moment for the Junior GB. You have to be 16, but we needed some sort of funding to help us. Otherwise, this year I wouldn't have been able to race in the ETC because the money's just is too much.
So how did that partnership with MLab in particular come about? Because you could have been with a lot of different teams. I don't know if obviously it's been on interest and things, but you're a very talented rider, so there must have been a few people bidding for you. So how did you go back to being with that team in particular?
It's mainly because it's like MLAV or the junior talent team. You get that's like the prize for winning the BTC usually. So I think obviously they're a British team and they're funded by Dorna. So that's probably the main reason why I rode for them.
Ah, okay. I didn't know it was specifically with them, so that's really interesting to know. But
Yeah,
it'd be good to be back with some sort of familiarity, obviously, with you being with them in the past. We have mentioned you did do a few of the Moto 4 European Cup rounds when they didn't clash with the British rounds. What are the
yeah.
differences in the tracks between the two? Obviously, do any of the quirky UK tracks help you when you transfer the skills to the GP circuits?
Well, I've been running the GP circuits for 2 years before, so I knew most of them before I got there. They're definitely the British tracks like Donington, Assen, Silverstone. Obviously, they were really good tracks. They were quite similar to the Grand Prix tracks that I raced. Well, they are Grand Prix tracks pretty much. So yeah, there was a few tracks like Thruxton that were definitely different to what I'd been used to. Like with the bumps and just the style of the track, how fast it is. So yeah, there was a few differences. But other than that, I could adapt pretty well between them because there wasn't too much of a difference.
Would you say one of your biggest skills as a rider, apart from the speed, is your adaptability? Because they are quite different, aren't they? With the undulations we have in the UK at places like Brands and Alton compared to kind of flatter tracks like Silverstone and the ones abroad. Would you say adaptability is one of your strong suits?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously the ECC bikes, they run Pirellis and the tracks are different and conditions as well. The temperature's higher. I think at Jerez, we went from Silverstone being cold and wet to flying out Jerez the next week and it was 40 degrees. So that was definitely a big difference. And yeah, I usually adapt pretty well to a new bike. I can learn it pretty quick and I can learn tracks uh quick as well. So yeah, my adaptability is a strong point of mine.
I think it's key, isn't it, when you're racing to have that, to be able to have different conditions but perform the same is a really big skill to have. Um, Two championships then for 2026, double the opportunity, double the riding time, double the risk, I guess, as well. But do you have any goals you've set with the teams for next year? Is it you want to go and win both championships potentially again, or have you set more realistic standards as in, okay, you know the talent that is in ETC, is it a race win first and then building on that as the season goes on?
Well, in the ETC, I definitely want to, because it's my second year, you could call it. I want to be fighting pretty much in that front group and up the front, fighting for wins and podiums. So that's probably my expectation to that. And I want to be qualifying consistently, but not barely qualifying, qualifying with ease and being up the front in races and right in it for the win. For the Red Bull rookies, I know it's going to be is the most difficult class that at this age, really. So I know it'll definitely be difficult, but I'll have to see what happens when I'm there. Hopefully, I can be mid pack towards the front, but if not, I'll learn this year, and hopefully, if I get 2, 3 years, I can then in those second years I can start to fight up the front. Hopefully,
Well, speaking of you being kind of younger and you said you were too young for junior GP, people might not know, but you are only just 15. It was your birthday at the start of December, I think.
yeah.
Um, because you are still so young, have you thought about where you want to go in the future in terms of the ultimate dream? Because you said with winning Talent Cup, you get that Rebel rookie seat, then that obviously is a direct route most of the time to get into MotoGP. So is that what you're targeting?
Yeah, that's my goal to make it to GP and do well in MotoGP. I want to. That's pretty much everyone's goal, and I hope that one day I can be there. That's my main goal. That route, really.
Fair enough. We have had someone recently say they'd like to go for BSB as a ultimate goal at the moment, which I think is really interesting because a lot of you have said MotoGP, and why wouldn't you, especially if you've got the opportunity like yourself to go into Rebel Rookies. I'm just
Yeah.
going to read you a comment that was left on one of your Facebook posts, which I found when I was looking at you and your career. And the comment says, hasn't anyone told you a 14-year-old rookie, this was obviously written when you were still 14, a 14-year-old rookie is not supposed to be leading the championship. What are you doing? Oh, what you are doing, sorry, is inspirational for all the young lads coming through. We've said, yeah, a 14-year-old rookie, right? Being the age that you are then, and being that younger generation still at the moment, still moving through the championships, especially in the successful way that you are. Is that something you ever think about? They've said what you're doing is inspirational. Is that something you ever think about being a role model to the next generation, even though you are still so early on in your career?
Yeah, we were doing some winter training recently when we last went out, and there was a lot of people, some British people that well, most of them were riding at the same track, and I think it was good because a lot of them liked watching me going around to learn and obviously taking me as an inspiration, which is definitely a good thing because the route that I've taken is probably what most people should start to follow, like mini GP and racing in Europe, like the route that I've gone through. So yeah, it's good to be an inspiration to the younger people.
Well, speaking about being that inspiration, then one thing we always try to talk about with every rider we speak to is any advice you've got to the younger riders that are looking to get into professional racing. We've said at the start we feel like there's kind of a barrier almost in places because people just don't know the appropriate steps to get into things like mini GP and then into Talent Cup. So, what is one piece of advice or a lesson you might have learned in your career so far that might help budding riders come through the ranks?
It's just training, really, everything. It's not just on the bike, off the bike, with fitness, everything along the lines of that, and just being out riding with better riders. So riders that are quicker than you, they might be a lot quicker than you, but if you can stay behind them for that short space of time and things like that, you can learn a lot just from riding with someone that's better than you, and that definitely helped me because when I went out to Spain, we usually hope that there's someone there that's quicker than me, and I always learn a lot riding around with someone that's faster or just as quick. So yeah, that's my main thing. Try and ride with people that are quicker than you, and people that you can learn a lot from.
I guess it's a bit more unique for you because, especially a few times, you were scouted by people to join teams. But if people were looking for that next step, what would you say is the best way to get noticed by the people who can give you those opportunities? Because for some people it's not always as straightforward. Obviously, we know that motorsport is very costly too. So, what advice
Yeah.
would you give them in terms of being noticed by those people?
It's definitely mini GP's got to be the best way. You've got to also fab racing's good. You can if you win the 70s, 50s, that's also really good. But definitely the mini GP, if you can get there as a British rider and do well near the front or make it for that main race, then you'll be noticed by a lot of people. When I went there, I got a podium in the 160s and the 190s. I didn't make it in the top three in the final championship, but I was still up there and as noticeably up there. So I got noticed a lot from that by teams in European Talent Cup because most of them will watch you, especially if you're in the 190s, because that's sort of the step before you get to ETC. So yeah, definitely the mini GP if you want to get noticed by a lot of people.
Wonderful. Wow. That advice combined with how quick you've been this year, you've just blown everything out of the water in your career so far. So thank you so much for joining us today. Obviously, best of luck next year in the Moto4 European Cup and Rebel Rookies, and we look forward to following your career.
Yeah, thank you for having me on the podcast.